Former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio joins us live right now with his take on Zohran Mamdani. Mr. Mayor, good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. I know you're a fan of Mamdani, but the Wall Street Journal writes the following here, sir, quoting, "Wall Street panics over prospect of a socialist running New York City." The New York Post follows that up with this. Luxury real estate brokers say wealthy New Yorkers are already looking to flee after Zohran Mamdani's primary win. It goes on to say within minutes of Zohran Mamdani clinching the Democratic nomination Tuesday night, real estate agents like Ryan Serhant were flooded with calls from clients looking to walk away from deals to buy apartments in New York City. I mean, where does he get the money to fund all these socialistic programs that he wants to implement, sir?
Well, Trace, the Mark Twain quote, "News of our demise is greatly exaggerated." Let's be clear. If he becomes mayor in January, he said he wants to do several things. He wants to create some free bus networks in New York City. That's something that's happening in cities all over America now. He said he wants to create grocery stores in neighborhoods that don't have enough fresh produce because a lot of supermarkets have been closing. He said he wants to do a rent freeze. That's something we've done before for our rent-regulated apartments. These are not staggering ideas. If he wants to tax the wealthy, he has to get the approval of the legislature. They may or may not give it. But I'll tell you one thing, the wealthy in this country have done increasingly well, including during the pandemic, and they're about to get a huge tax cut from Donald Trump and the Republican Congress. So I just think there's a lot of exaggeration here. Right. And we're not going to see people leaving in droves. We hear this happen many days. Said it would happen when I became mayor. It didn't happen. I just don't buy it.
You say that he's not coming out with some outrageous ideas, but he is in favor of defunding police. He is in favor of open borders. He is in favor of a lot of socialistic plans. He's in favor of having, drug needles and sites you can go and inject. So these are some things that have been tried in San Francisco, in Chicago. They have failed dramatically, and he wants to re-implement them in New York City.
Well, Trace, hold on now. He doesn't control the border. I do not believe he will.
But he's in favor of controlling the border, and he wants to bring the whole world in, and he wants taxpayers to fund all of these socialistic things. He wants taxpayers to fund the world, sir.
That's just not reality. That's not what he's saying, and he has nothing to do with what happens at the border. So the bottom line is he comes in and says, let's focus on the kitchen table issues. And I think this is a really interesting point about the Democratic Party in general. Here's someone who actually talked all day long about affordability. Talked about rent. He talked about the basics of life, food, the whole thing that people were struggling to make ends meet over. And that's what Democrats actually forgot to do in 2024, and they paid a price for it. So, there's lots of attempts to paint him as extremist. I do not think there will be any defunding of the police in New York City. I think we have learned how important it is to keep our police force strong. I think in the end, he's going to laser focus on the kinds of things that everyday New Yorkers want across the ideological spectrum, across demographics, because this place is incredibly expensive and working class and middle class people are struggling to live here.
But he also does want, no cash bail. He's in favor of legalizing drug use in small amounts. He's in favor of a lot of things that have been tried and failed, and San Francisco is pulling away from those, and he does want to go toward those. I've got 35 seconds for you, Mayor.
Yeah, well, San Francisco made some mistakes, there's no question. But the two things you mentioned, Andrew Cuomo also was in favor of no cash bail as governor. That's how come we have no cash.
Still hasn't worked.
But the point is, it's already been decided by the legislature. I think the bottom line here is Mamdani understands, of course he understands we need to have a safe city, but his central focus is going to be making this place more affordable. And that's actually what voters wanted. No one expected this big a result. That's actually voters from all over the city saying we want our mayor to focus on affordability first and foremost.
Yeah, we shall see. Mayor de Blasio, sir, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Pleasure, Trace. Take care.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.